everyone. Thanks very much for coming up. I'm excited to contribute to the main .sum events of the year. I'm super excited to see familiar faces in the room. And for those who don't know me, just a few words about myself. My name is Alex. I'm the CEO and the founder with the Equilibrium team. I'm an engineer in applied mathematics by training, and I'm in crypto full-time since 2016. So today I will be covering the way how we are marrying the money markets and the DEX to eliminate the capital inefficiency in DeFi. And before I dive into this topic, let me give a shout out to our team. The current team we're working with is actually started working together in 2017. Back in the days, the team is counting for 27 team members so far. We have almost 17 on the dev side, and others are involved in business development, marketing operations. So we are bringing together the best practices from our experience in lending companies in different industries, including finance and obviously like software development companies. So without all these folks, actually it would be possible to put together such a comprehensive DeFi platform that we're building on the Substrate technology. So just a few highlights on our achievements so far. First of all, we have bootstrapped the ecosystem on Kusama, which is our canary network called Jinchira. So it's kind of considered as a test net for Equilibrium. So we're testing our products first there. And so far we have quite organically collected over $8 million worth TVL, which is really nice. It's, again, purely organic. We never actually drive any kind of liquidity providers to there. So we also have launched the XDOT functionality, which is the wrapper for DOTs that you guys can lock in crowd loans and enjoy liquidity of that during like 2 years of these assets being locked for particular parachain. For these mechanics, we have collected over 1 million DOTs, which will be eventually like some kind of initial TVL on our Polkadot-based parachain. We also have quite a big user base, over 32,000 users subscribed to our newsletter. We are backed by one of the most influential funds in the ecosystem, including Signum Capital, Tier 1, Hypersphere, Genesis Block Ventures, and others. So maybe the most exciting achievement so far is the getting the slots on Polkadot. We are one of 18 projects onboarded so far. This is really impactful for our project because we kind of connected with the ecosystem, being recognized, and maybe the most important that we're actually working on composability with other ecosystem projects, with major ones through XCM integrations. And this is very important for us to integrate with each of them to bring value to the ecosystem as well and to their token holders being the DeFi platform. So just few highlights on our roadmap for the parachain deployment. Right now with their preparation stage, we are just finalizing all the preparation this month. And the next stage for us will be the bootstrap event. We'll be bootstrapping liquidity on our Equilibrium parachain on Polkadot. And then we will be launching everything into production, including our money markets and spot market functionality. So what is the problem that we're actually solving? First of all, we are convinced that the current DeFi space is suffering from capital inefficiency. So if you look at the major DeFi protocols that we have on the markets, you may notice that the collateralization requirements in all of them are quite high. And actually, this means that the assets they are putting into these protocols, you can get some quite tiny leverage on these assets. And that doesn't mean that it's not convenient just for those users who are used to taking more risks, but it's actually not convenient to regular users because at some events you can get liquidated faster than you expect in the case of some flash crash, for example. We are actually lowering the collateralization requirements, and also we are introducing more sophisticated margin call levels rather than just critical margin call, which is quite common for all the DeFi platforms. In our case, we have the maintenance margin call, which actually introduces the grace period to those who got the margin call of that level. And that actually brings certain flexibility to our users. So actually, to overcome these issues, DeFi is still having certain obstacles. We call it the infrastructural hurdles. Like first one is the risky liquidation model that we have in the current DeFi protocols. Like you probably know that most of lending protocols are relying on auctions when it comes to liquidations. And you can imagine that 90% of assets locked on Ethereum are actually subject to potential auctioning in case of some sort of severe market crash. And you can imagine what can happen if all this amount of liquidity will hit the markets. So it will be like total disaster, and definitely this represents a systematic risk. So another challenge for DeFi that we see is the excessive collateralization requirements. So users usually need to pledge like $200 to borrow 100. We are introducing some financial engineering and innovations that allow us to be comfortable with lowering these collateral requirements and make it lower than in other protocols without the risk for Equilibrium being insolvent. And maybe the third thing that I wanted to mention here is the complicated user experience. So most of users of lending protocols that cannot actually utilize their assets right away, right? So, and actually borrowing just for borrowing doesn't make sense. You need to, like, if you see the loans being taken from the major lending protocols, you can see that the most of loans are generated in stable coins, meaning that users are usually borrowing some capital for some other kind of operations on different exchanges and stuff, but they cannot utilize these assets right on the lending protocol. So by uniting all the sustained DeFi use cases like lending and trading under one umbrella, we are solving this challenge as well and make the user experience really slick. So just a quick breakdown of the product line that we're introducing to the markets. Like first of all, we have the money markets on the table, which introduces the pooled lending functionality with probably the lowest collateral requirements ever compared to all the lending protocols that we have in the market. Also we have the synthetic asset lineup, which is actually comprised of the native stablecoin called EQD, backed to dollar and backed by the basket of digital collateral. For now, this stablecoin is used for quotation on our DEX, and it's actually very convenient that you can generate these stablecoins on the flight just to fund some operations within our platform. Another synthetic asset that we have is the XDOT, which is the wrapper on dots locked in crowd loans, and it actually has certain use cases within the protocol. You basically can use it as collateral, or you can lend it out or stake for some generating some yields, or another use case for that is, for example, putting into the automated market maker. The third major component of the platform is the orderbook-based DEX, which allows for very convenient margin trading with leverage up to 20x. So the main thing about the product line that we're putting together is that this product line is leveraging the same liquidity pools, like all these products are sharing the same liquidity pools, meaning that they're driving more liquidity into these pools and creating certain synergetic effects for the system overall. So we actually operate at the nexus of the most dynamic DeFi segments, respectively lending protocols, spot markets, and derivative markets. See, the overall TVL, and this number is actually as of April, so probably right now it's a little bit lower even. So it was $154 billion. But we still think that the potential of this market has not been realized yet. So what actually set Equilibrium apart? Look, first of all, I wanted to mention here the risk-based pricing. This is the absolutely unique approach to pricing of loans within the DeFi space, because like most of lending protocols are relying on utilization approach. I will talk about that a bit later, but still like risk-based pricing, meaning that the interest rate you're paying on the loan actually accounts for collateralization level and collateral volatility of underlying portfolio. So meaning that borrowers, they can actually affect the interest they are paying on their loans, which makes a lot of sense, gives them certain sort of flexibility, and they can either set collateralization level higher or provide less volatile collateral to lower their interest rate they're paying on their loans. Another advanced feature is the support for collateral baskets. So we're supporting the portfolio assets as collateral, meaning that you can collateralize different types of assets simultaneously, like it can be either stable coins, for example, combined with some volatile assets, and this actually allows you for mitigating risks of liquidations and some other risks if they are in terms of like management of your portfolio of assets and your loans. And maybe the third, the most kind of important feature of the platform is the innovative liquidation mechanics, which is opposed to auctioning. This mechanics is called bailouts, meaning that all the loans in the system are secured by special agents called bailsmen. And actually, this mechanics keeps the system solvent in case of very severe extraordinary market events. So I will describe how it works later in the course of the presentation. And due to all these technical innovations that they're actually backing the protocol, we are comfortable with lowering collateral requirements as low as 105% in case of our money markets, and the critical margin requirements for the DEX is just 5%, which gives more flexibility to our users. So let me just real quick go through the utilization approach and how it's different to the risk-based approach that we're taking. Like in terms of like how calculated interest rate for the utilization approach, actually interest depends solely on how much borrowed from the particular liquidity pool, meaning that the actual borrowers cannot affect this interest rate by far. In case of risk-based approach, the interest rate for a particular loan is calculated based on some objective parameters like individual portfolio risks and collateralization. So this is more fair approach, and that approach makes more sense because it helps us to manage risks within the system in a more efficient way. So just real quick overview how bailsmen work in the system. Like as I mentioned, we're introducing the very specific role of bailsmen within Equilibrium. So bailsmen, they're actually acting as liquidity providers. They're putting funds into the dedicated bailout pool. And this bailout pool is actually used to recapitalize loans in case of liquidations. So how exactly this works? So let's imagine that particular borrower defaults on his loan. In this case, the collateral of this borrower is transferred to the bailout pool, and his debt obligations are transferred to bailsmen. So bailsmen efficiently become borrower for this particular loan, and they can actually cover this loan whenever they want. So meaning that there are no immediate actions required from any kind of third parties in case of liquidations within our system. And this actually makes the system super resilient in case of any kind of flash crash or some extraordinary market events. Maybe worth mentioning that bailsmen, they actually can withdraw funds from the bailout pool only after they repay these loans. However, they're flexible and they can do that whenever they want, as I said. So here's how we compare to our contenders. Maybe the most important takeaways from here is that we are cross-chain interoperable. We are applying the lowest collateral requirements in terms of the money markets and the orderbook-based DEX. And what's also important that we are supporting the collateral baskets, which is also quite a unique feature specifically when it comes to money markets. So all these features, they can hardly be implemented on existing heterogeneous networks, like Ethereum, for example, because, like, for example, real-time computations for financial metrics or multiple currencies and feeds supported simultaneously, they're kind of requiring quite a lot of computation and quite a lot of resources, and it might be really costly when it comes to heterogeneous chains. So like we are highly leveraging the advantages of the Polkadot technology, the flexibility of the Substrate framework to build this up. So how exactly we do that? Like we use off-chain workers quite extensively. It's actually used for the heavy real-time computations for consequent portfolios of currencies and improvements of user experience when it comes to automated actions. We are highly customizing palettes that are being used from the standard sort of libraries of the Substrate framework. Like we are modifying the balance palettes quite a lot. So it's not just token accounting in our case, and it allows for lending out of the box. And we are obviously customizing the runtime, which is quite common for parachain projects. So Equilibrium actually adds value to the Polkadot ecosystem as well. Actually, the choice of Polkadot was not spontaneous for us. We were looking for some decent framework which delivers interoperability out of the box. And actually, it's definitely more flexible in terms of development. From our experience, it's the most flexible development framework that we have ever seen on the market. And believe me, we have quite extensive experience in coding on various other blockchains. So what we bring to the table, like first of all, it's key DeFi use cases under one umbrella. Secondly, we are solving the key challenges for DeFi, including complicated user experience, inefficiency in liquidations, and fragmentation of DeFi liquidity overall. We are underlying distinctness of Polkadot compared to other ecosystems, like including whatever Solana, Cosmos, Avalanche, and others. And hopefully, this will lead to increased interest in the ecosystem overall. So just to remind you, just a breakdown of what exactly we are improving. Like first of all, we are cross-chain, which means more liquidity for the end users. We are building the all-in-one platform, which significantly enhances user experience for the end customers. We are introducing kind of low collateralization requirements, and so that means more flexibility for borrowers and traders. And collateral baskets allows people to mitigate their risks when they are borrowing funds from the protocol. Risk-based pricing actually introduces fair costs on borrowing, and the system-wide insurers, respectively, bailment functionality means more sustainability for the platform. So here's our roadmap. Actually, like we have done quite a lot of things so far. We have got 2 slots on Kusama and Polkadot, respectively. We have launched the basic functionality on Kusama. You can try it out if you go to our website, which is equilibrium.io, and you can find out there how things work on Jinchira, which is our parachain on Kusama. We have got 2 grants from the Web3 Foundation. We have collaborated with the Curve Finance team. We have built the Substrate version of their technology, and we'll be launching this in production on our parachain as well. So the next step for us is actually onboarding as a parachain, like in full scale on Polkadot. Secondly, we will be launching the perpetual market functionality in the second half of this year, and then at the end of the year, we'll be approaching the bootstrap of decentralized governance on the protocol. So the top priorities for 2022 for us is actually, first of all, hiring more team members. Our team is expanding. We have set up shop in Lisbon, and we'll be hiring more C-level guys for the team, including CMO, head of growth, head of business development. So if you, for example, have some decent lead for us, feel free to reach out. We definitely would love to consider opportunities to work with you or your friends. So also in terms of product development, the top priorities for us is launching the perpetual market, and we also will be developing the full-scale mobile application really soon. In terms of the ecosystem growth, we're super focused on integration through Axiom with parachain projects. So we kind of have completed some integrations already. We integrated with Akala, with Parallel. We have done the testnet integration with Moonbeam, and we're looking forward to more integrations because we think that our product line will definitely bring certain value to the token holders of native assets for these ecosystems. So I think that's pretty much it. If you scan this QR code, this will follow you to the Calendly, and you can schedule a call with me if you want to touch base. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to our team if you have any additional questions. Happy to address them. And I'm just in time. Thanks very much.